Okay, so we've got our helper here today, Eleanor the Maine Coon. But we're getting to the video here. Essentially, Dodge, and this isn't about the Dodge Hornet. This is going to be more about the sustainability of electric vehicles and these hybrid electric vehicles. So, essentially, Dodge finally released the Hornet here, and it does come with the RT hybrid trim, which is a plug-in hybrid, and it produces, I believe, nice, I believe 35 miles on a charge, somewhere around that. So, anyway, a lot of automakers here are trying the push for electric vehicles. GM is producing a lot of electric vehicles: the Equinox, the Blazer, the Silverado EV, the Hummer EV. The list goes on. And they announced in 2024, I believe, is the last year, the Camaro, and that is fitting, along with the Challenger and Charger being discontinued after this year of 2023. And a lot of automakers are now producing vehicles that are either electric or plug-in hybrids, producing that anywhere from 30 to 50 miles of charge on the electric motor. So with that being said, these vehicles are all so new, and I listened to some podcasts, specifically the Smoking Tire, and some other podcasts here on vehicles, and this is in no means going to be a political video on electric vehicles whatsoever. It's just my video as a consumer who has owned 7 or 8 different internal combustion vehicles by the age of 25. And I've driven electric vehicles before. I've been in them. They are awesome. I frankly love them. If I was able to have 3 vehicles, one would be an electric vehicle. That would be my daily driver. But in my line of work, owning a golf course, I need a truck. And I do have a very nice truck. If you follow the channel, you know that I have a pretty sweet Ram 1500 Laramie. Our helper's gone. And I need that for work. So once I get the truck paid off, I'm going to essentially buy another vehicle. Whether or not I'm going to get rid of the Mercedes-Benz 5.5 liter V8 and get an electric vehicle, I'm not sure. But point being, if I were able to have 3 vehicles, what my daily driver would be an electric car. I mean, there's just no getting around it. They're awesome vehicles. They're fast, even in base level forms. They're just instantaneous torque. They're fast. They're very fun to drive. So with that being said, I want to get into the thoughts of the general public only being able to buy one vehicle. So take my girlfriend, for example. We have 3 vehicles between the two of us. I have 2, she has 1. She will only ever be able to afford 1 vehicle, as she is a teacher. So that's 90% of the American people can only afford 1 car. And I just pulled that number out. I mean, it may be more, it may be less. So she ultimately has to make a decision here whether or not she wants to get an internal combustion car, a plug-in hybrid such as the Hornet, which is too small for her, or an electric SUV such as an Audi e-tron or the Mustang Mach-E, the Cadillac Lyriq. The list goes on and on. There's a large offering of electric vehicles now for her to choose from. But that begs the question here. What is going to be cheaper for you in the long run? What is going to be better for the environment? A lot of talk right now in electric vehicles is range anxiety. So, some electric vehicles only get 200 miles to the charge. Some can go up to 300 or more. Now, typically, when you want to get an electric vehicle that has more range, you have to pay more for it. So, this is just my thought on this. You want to buy a Cadillac Lyriq all-wheel drive or a Mustang Mach-E GT or just a Mustang Mach-E Premium. Well, those are going to run you anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000, $90,000 depending on what options you get on them. So with that being said, you can buy an internal combustion vehicle, not necessarily with the same performance, but the same usability for $40,000 to $50,000 with good options on it. So from a usability standpoint, it makes sense to buy the internal combustion vehicle because you're getting all that same technology basically. In terms of looking at American automakers here, you're getting that same technology just in a gas-powered engine, which isn't as high performance as the electric motors are. But now automakers are trying to make that push almost towards the internal combustion engine along with a plug-in hybrid such as this Dodge Hornet, which in my opinion isn't a bad choice because you're getting that power from the electric engine and you're getting the power from the gas engine. So electric or motor companies such as Dodge are putting these smaller displacement four-cylinder engines, and I know Volvo does too, these four-cylinder engines in their vehicles and essentially powering them with less power, thus creating higher MPGs and pairing it with an electric motor to make vehicles that are now getting 50 miles to the gallon, 60 miles to the gallon, and really reducing your gas costs. Now, when you use gas, it's never going to be as cheap as plugging in your vehicle, to a stage 2 charger or even just plugging it in overnight. I mean, that's going to be relatively cheap for you in the long run. So again, that brings up range anxiety, especially in cold weather climates such as Wisconsin, where we're at now. Batteries can decrease by 30% in the wintertime. So if you have a 250-mile range vehicle, now that range may only be 190, 180, 200, somewhere around there, depending on the temperature of that day. So that may cause some range anxiety. Although, here's the problem with American people. We like big, we like fast, and we like huge things. I mean, there's no getting around it. Look at our cars. Look at what people drive. We have that Dodge Durango RT Tow and Go in the family, and quite frankly, they needed it for towing, but at the same time, that's huge. I mean, even my truck, that's huge. I maxed out the payload and the towing on that truck once. One time. I've owned 3 trucks over the course of the last 6 years, and I've only done that to my truck once. So here we go again with the overusage of our, the underusage of our overly huge things. So automakers making products like this Hornet, these smaller SUVs that a lot of women like, a lot of men can like this now. This may be the way to go, especially without having range anxiety, because we know our infrastructure isn't to the point with electric vehicles where it should be. You can go out to a lot of those public charging stations, but a lot of them don't work unless maybe you have a Tesla. Otherwise, if you have a Ford or a Volvo or I should say a Polestar or an Audi or products like that, Mercedes, they may not work. And that's just where we are with the infrastructure system of today. But now with these plug-in hybrid vehicles, you always have a gas station to go to. You never have to worry about running out of fuel. Instead of taking 30 minutes to get you back on the road or an hour, it's now taking you a 5-minute fill up, and now you're back on the road. And you're able to get that awesome MPG still, and you're able to not run out of range on your vehicle, essentially. So it is just moving towards these internal combustion hybrid powertrain vehicles that seem to be the way to go, in my opinion. They combine the best of both worlds, and a lot of Americans have less than a 30-mile round trip to work. I think the national average is 12,000 miles a year, which is like 33 miles per day driven. If that math comes out somewhat right. So a lot of these vehicles, such as the Hornet or such as a lot of Volvo's recharge vehicles, Mercedes-Benz's plug-in hybrids, they allow you to get to work just straight on the electric engine, and you can get home, charge it, and theoretically, on most of your days, maybe besides a weekend when you're driving more, you can get to work and get home on a single charge of the battery in your hybrid vehicle. And ultimately, that seems the way to go. In my opinion, you don't have to worry about the range anxiety. You don't have to worry about not having that charge on your vehicle, and you could still run to the gas station to get gas. And ultimately, that seems like the way to go. In the bigger picture, it allows the infrastructure for electric vehicles to grow, and still allows these dealerships and mechanics to do their jobs properly to work on a gas-powered motor. Now, that brings up the other point. Our infrastructure just isn't there for electric vehicles yet. And a lot of these dealerships don't have the tools necessary or the skills necessary to work on electric vehicles. Now, electric vehicles have far less moving parts. They require a lot less maintenance than a gas-powered engine or vehicle. So theoretically, that's now putting people out of business as well with just straight electric vehicles. So again, that's moving to the point of having a plug-in hybrid vehicle as our main answer towards electrification. Maybe electric isn't the way to go. Now, electric cars still should be produced, don't get me wrong, but electric cars maybe shouldn't be pushed as much as they're being pushed by the government right now, left or right, as they are, because we're just not there yet with the infrastructure. And that brings me to another point. The lithium mining. So I did some research on this here. NPR, I read an article on, and now this Euronews.green. And there's just not a lot of stories out there about the lithium mining process and how either bad it is for the environment or how good it is. There's just not a lot out there. So there's a lot of talk right now about lithium mining and how it is bad for the environment and for the people that live next to it. Now, a lot of these news stories are saying that these lithium mines, whether they're in Nevada or they're in South America, they're in Africa, there's not a lot of people that live by them compared to like a coal mine. So it's not as, or an oil rich area. So it's not as bad for the environment or for the people living there. But here we go. This article has a great point here. Any type of resource extraction is harmful to the planet. This is because removing these raw materials can result in soil degradation, water shortages, biodiversity loss, damage to the ecosystem functions, and an increase in global warming. But when we think of extraction, we think of fossil fuels like coal and gas. Ultimately, lithium also falls under the same umbrella. So yes, it does fall under the same umbrella as a fossil fuel, although there are renewable, I should say recyclable ways that lithium can be saved. So I am no science expert by any means. I own a golf course. I manage golf courses. So I have to be environmentally friendly in my jobs here, but I am no science expert by any means. So here's another good quote. Approximately 2.2 million liters of water is needed to produce 1 ton of lithium. And this is very well known here. It's a very water extensive process in order to get, lithium out of the earth, basically. And that goes for any sort of mining, though, but lithium is right up there in terms of the highest. So when you think about it, water is a finite resource on our planet. I mean, once our wells run dry, our wells run dry. I mean, there's just no getting around it. So that brings me to another point. So you have companies like Tesla or Mercedes-Benz who's putting out these ludicrous mode Teslas and these AMG Mercedes. These big battery packs require a lot more lithium, and thus they require a lot more earth materials in them. And that's costing more for the environment. And it's costing more for your bottom dollar, too. Nobody's trying to save the environment with a vehicle that costs $100,000 to $150,000 and goes 0 to 60 in under 2-3 seconds. Nobody is buying that to save the environment. Those are the people that have basically money like crazy, and they don't give a shit what happens to the environment. So with that being said, a car like a Nissan Leaf or any EV, I guess, under $50,000, the normal price of a vehicle today is people who are either looking to save on their energy bill or basically help save the environment. I mean, that's kind of the way to look at it here. But when you get into that $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 range of vehicles plus, you're not looking to save the environment. I mean, that's just not. That's fueling these companies to produce more and more of these vehicles. And that brings me back to this vehicle right here. A small size crossover, the Dodge Hornet, with a small electrically driven motor in the back and an internal combustion motor in the front. So this answers all our problems in the short term, basically. This provides jobs for repairs, for warranty work, for maintenance. This provides jobs for these mechanics. The battery provides a sustainable solution for the environment, along with charging, being able to save some money on gas, being able to save some money in terms of just your total energy costs. That just seems like the total fit to me. And the problem is we're in such an early stage of this. I mean, this is basically creating a new vehicle. And when you think how long it took for the gas car to evolve, basically from 1910, 1920 till 2000 even, you're looking at 80 years of technology being put into vehicles. And now we're just at the beginning stage of electric vehicles. Really, you can state back to 2010 when Tesla started to make a charge as a beginning charge of our electric vehicle stardom, basically. So that puts us at the year basically 2090 theoretically to get where we are today with gas vehicles. So we're at a very early stage. The charging infrastructure isn't where it should be yet. And this option right here, the plug-in hybrid, seems to be the way to go to cause less lithium mining, less impact on the environment, less carbon footprint, which is huge, and provides consumers with a safe way to get where they need to go and not have any range anxiety.